definitely forgotten the face of your father. My name is Matthew Kroll.
And choose a pretty face and the world is your oyster. My name is Shahir Dowd.
And this is the only podcast about movies, specifically the film The Dark Tower.
Didn't seem that dark to me.
I mean, it was dark moments.
Pretty well lit tower.
But we can't climb this pyre of literary it's classic literature.
Yeah.
Alone. We can't do it.
No, because chaos is a ladder and we need to climb it.
Oh, see, I wish we could talk about that, but we can't. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us once again for I think maybe a six-peat, the one, the only, the beautiful, the lovely, my best friend Stephen Buja from Same Night Movie Review fame. What up, buddy?
Hey guys, long days, pleasant nights, and thank you, Sai, for having me. Glad to be back. It feels like it has been a very long time since I have graced these hallowed halls.
It has been a hot minute because you have been very busy over at Oscar Watch Podcast. How's that going?
It's going well. We just did an episode on Going My Way.
This is the thing. Every
Bing
week
Crosby.
I get a movie in my feed that not only did I not know about, but I didn't realize it was an Oscar winner at the same time.
There are so many of them. I'm like, that one Best Picture? Really? It's been a fun journey. I've been doing that, and I had a kid.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was kind of cool.
I can
like a
relate
big
to this
thing.
this experience. Yeah.
And it's been a journey.
Can I ask you a question?
Here we go.
I have found over the course of doing the only podcast about movies, we have developed a certain thesis about what this podcast is about, which is that it is ostensibly about the distinctions between what I find interesting in a film and what Matt finds interesting in a film. I'm curious, over the course of the Oscar Watch podcast, you have been cataloging and collecting the names of the Oscar Best Pictures as well as other Oscar winners. What do you think, in your experience right now, you have learned about said award winners or award winners in general?
I've learned that since it is a human institution and people are generally fallible, that
Speak for yourself.
I feel like you're doing a review of Paul Haggis's Crash right now, but keep going.
that fucking movie. That but some movies are just bad from the get go. But films that were lauded in their time don't necessarily hold up over the decades. I've found, and they're an interesting time capsule into how people were responding to a certain thing at a certain period in history. That maybe it gives some insight. Maybe it doesn't, but we try to. I've been noticing a lot of especially in the past, movies were way different in the past. Man, they got away with so much questionable content.
Yeah,
right.
Was that just wouldn't fly now, and it's like a very snapshot of the way society
What's a film that you think has held up really well over time, or what's something that you think is surprisingly falls into the category of what you just said of things that don't hold up over time?
A thing that did not hold up over time that really disappointed the hell out of me because I loved it as a kid was Braveheart. That movie has not.
You loved Braveheart.
Oh, it just didn't do anything for me. It felt so just
Pedantic.
surface level.
Yeah.
I actually
pedantic.
watched-
Good word.
Yeah,
I
thank you.
watched Braveheart recently, and I have to agree with you. And it is a movie that, as a youngster, I definitely watched many a time.
I feel like that falls into
It had everything.
Yeah.
It had everything. It had action. It had boobs.
And it
had
was-
Mel Gibson. It's just great.
And it was inspiring as a kid. You know, you kind of there was a sort of a thematic kind of defiance of authority that really works when you're a kid and you really believe in, and it's like, man, you know what? I need to stick it to the man. The world is not right, and I need to fight for what's right and good.
But
Freedom.
most things we believe in children, we find out as we grow to adults that they're all lies.
Yes,
Yes.
the true story of William Wallace is
It's
very
completely-
different.
Yeah.
Very different. He was a terrorist. He was like no joke, a terrorist. That I will say, that music though,
Yeah.
that score is fantastic.
Is it James Horner who did
James
this score?
Horner?
Yeah,
yes. And he did basically the same thing 2 years later for Titanic.
There you go. My heart will go on. But please check out the Oscar Watch podcast, which I think is going to be, hopefully I will be on an episode sometime soon.
Oh, yeah. When's that
We've
gonna
been
happen?
talking about it.
Yeah.
When's that going to happen, Shahir?
It's going to happen the same time the robot music video drops, right?
Speaking of which, we have some listener emails. I'm just going to segue
Okay.
right into this because we have some listener emails from the artist of the robot music video.
That's right.
There you
Nigel,
go.
baby.
But if you want to reach us, you can reach us at onlymoviepodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter at onlymoviepod. We take movie requests. We like to hear from our listeners.
We
And
take movie requests.
we don't necessarily fulfill them.
We
although
will.
Although I do have an email regarding one of our requests. We
Okay.
did just get another request for a ghost story.
Yep, that'd be
which
good to
which I really do want to do.
Did Casey Affleck stay under that sheet the whole time, or do you think it's a double?
You think it's a,
No, he did. He did.
The thing is, Ben
was
Affleck
there.
was on set at the same time. They just switched them out because they're brothers.
Yeah, that's great.
I'll get to Nigel's email in a sec, but I just wanted to shout out to listener Will, who wrote us in about War for the Planet of the Apes, who said he had just listened to our podcast and he had to email us this. And Will, I appreciate you emailing us this.
Love you, Will.
That the movie was some of the dumbest, most plotless, low stakes, overacted bullshit I've ever seen.
Wow.
And I was super into the first two. Everyone in the cinema was so serious and into it, I was just laughing. And then he gave me an entire list of alternate titles for War for the Planet of the
Ooh,
Apes.
okay.
Including
Ooh, yeah,
Inexplicable War for the Planet of the Apes, Strange War for the Planet of the Apes. And he lists like reasons that these would be. For example, the mute girl grieving for the ape that just died, but not her dead dad, who she doesn't even give a glance at. The Inexplicable War for the Planet of the Apes. The absence of life from the environment and a tiny sense of scale. The Strange War for the Planet of the Apes. How the dumbasses Colonel's army managed to capture all these apes and put them in a cage in the snow with like 50 men. The Weird War for the Planet of the Apes. And so on and so on.
No.
I wanted to call it Spartacus of the Planet of the Apes.
I think that was
Exodus of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Just because there was to quote Dr. Ian Malcolm, there's going to be a war in your War for the Planet of the Apes, right? And no, there was not.
There was yeah. As
I
we
still go skirmish.
Yeah, as we pulled from another podcast, which we don't listen to because we don't know that they exist. Skirmish of the Planet of the Apes is our pick right now for best
okay,
alternate
I
title.
like that.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you, Will. Yeah, I mean, of course, it is what yeah.
Will also emailed us about It Comes at Night, but I'll go back into we'll cover that at another time. Nigel, who is the artist who created the who's the musician behind the Sid robot music video, which does have a release date now, by the way, September 15th, coming at your eye holes. It will happen. We've put out trailers. It's official now.
I'll crack into that. There we go.
He wanted to chime in on Logan, our Logan review. We're getting some emails from a little bit of the back catalog right
That's
now.
fine. Keep going. Everyone, listen to the back cut. Go back and listen to Entourage and tell us what you think.
Please don't watch the movie.
It's great.
Whatever you do,
It's great though.
don't watch the movie.
Listening to you talk about Entourage, the movie's
you.
terrible.
Nigel writes, I think in our episode we had a conversation basically talking about does the movie Logan benefit from having however many 7 movies preceding it featuring that character, or is it a good enough standalone film? Nigel writes in and said, I'm ideally placed to answer one of the main questions you guys were pondering. Is the movie better? Does it have more weight to the long history of X-Men movies? Ideally placed because I've only seen X-Men 1 and 2 and it was a long time ago. I vaguely recall Anna Paquin and some ice, but that's about it.
That about covers it. Yeah.
No strong feelings for Wolverine or one way or the other. Logan, great film. It's just well done and a cool story. If it was a Western with unknown characters, it would still be pretty great. It gave me feels at the end, which is all you can ask for. That is all. Carry on.
Yeah, and I'm glad he really enjoyed it. I don't think it. We never debated that it couldn't be that. I don't think. I think, and I don't know if the question was exactly like. Well, the question was, does it benefit from all these other movies? I think it does.
I think it benefits, but I think
It's not necessary. It gives it that extra push.
Yeah.
That was my point. I never meant to say that you needed to see the other films to get that feels as he described it at the end of the film. Of course, I think it's a very well made movie that does it on its own. I just think the weight of it and the catharsis of this, if you followed it along, kind of it can't hurt it. It helps it. So that's what I was always saying.
you could argue X-Men 3 hurts it. Continue. continuing, or the Wolverine
X-Men
hurts
3
it.
hurts everything.
Or the Wolverine. Was it? No, the first
X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Wolverine,
If
yeah.
you can't name it, you can't make fun of it.
I have seen it. So yes, moving on from Logan. Thank you again, Nigel, for that. And
Thank you, Nigel.
we look forward to seeing some robot music videos soon.
I love it.
Kartik, who requested the Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, wrote in, finally listening to us, Steve Zissou. He actually wrote in 2 hours ago.
That's
so
great.
aptly timed.
yay.
Hey, welcome.
Thanks, Kartik. What cracked me up is how much I could identify with both of you. I like Zissou enough, but it's far from his best. Of the recent Wes Anderson films, only Fantastic Mr. Fox has truly appealed to me. His shit is so quirky, so theatrical that it leaves me cold. How can I identify with characters who are so clearly at odds with who are clearly just these little odd figments of his imagination? They're so fucking weird and idiosyncratic. So when you were debating about if Zissou is an action film or not, you said that it has a rescue scene in it. It does, granted, but I'm not invested in these characters. I'm just looking out for them to do something weird so I can laugh at or be amused by. So I don't care about the father or son thread or about the career of Zissou. I think he's taking Matt's side on that one. Yeah, so I still contend that the Life Aquatic is Wes Anderson's version of an action movie, but up for debate, I guess. Steve, have you any input on the oeuvre of Wes Anderson?
Life Aquatic never did it for me. I'm a big Rushmore and Fantastic Mr. Fox fan. I think the animated medium for Wes Anderson really works.
Yeah,
for his strengths, and I'm very curious to see what Isle of Dogs.
Yeah,
is, 'cause I
Isle
think
of
that's
Dogs.
Another like stop motion thing.
Animated dogs, I believe.
Yeah, but you got. I love the actors he gets to play. I love Bill Murray in Life Aquatic. I love the Sigur Rós song at the end. There are moments that are
haunting,
just absolutely beautiful. But there's so much crap involved, and it's also a really long movie. Like,
there's a lot of shit in between those moments. Yeah,
it really doesn't need to be this long. So it's a lesser Anderson movie to me.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say
Anderson film,
directed by Les Anderson?
Oh boy.
I'm done. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I can't.
thanks, guys.
I can't
I'll show
anymore.
myself
I gotta go. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm glad he got to actually listen to the episode that he requested.
Yeah.
It makes me feel a little less bad taking so long to do these, or maybe that's just payback from him because we're so tardy.
I enjoyed doing that one. And then just a couple more tweets. We've been still talking about with a little bit of back and forth about $5 bottles of water at the movies. Little
Christ.
pro tip from
This is what it's come to.
little pro tip from one of our listeners. You can always ask for a courtesy cup of water at any movie theater, and they legally have to provide you with.
Yeah, but it'll be
cup.
like a Dixie cup.
It's a Dixie cup of water, but I have definitely done that in the past, and I will point out my own hypocrisy, which is while complaining about my $5 bottle of water, I did buy a $5 coffee today.
But there's extra stuff in that more than water.
Still, you know,
You don't know where those beans came from.
I'm just saying the inflationary cost of when John Travolta said exclaimed the $5 milkshake in Pulp Fiction,
Sure,
has now made the $5 milkshake seem redundant, given that water is $5.
Fair.
I would kill a man for a $5 milkshake. That's in New York City, especially. Like that sounds
that-
great.
you can't get
cheap.
that.
It doesn't exist.
That's an affordable milkshake.
Seriously.
It would bring all the boys to the. I'm just gonna keep
And I
doing
would drink it right up.
the worst puns for this entire time.
But moving on, Matt, did you have any other emails or feedback?
No, you got them all.
Okay, great. Moving on. Efficiency, that's what I like. What I don't like is the Dark Tower. Let's get into it.
Whoa, spoiler for Shakir. Well, the Dark Tower it's a movie.
It happened.
The three of us.
It is in 24 frames.
Yes, we did all see it with my eyes, and I heard it with my ear holes.
I felt it with my heart.
Okay, so let's do a little bit of a history with the film. Steve, let's talk to you real quick because you, my friend, are the Dark Tower series fan.
I really love this series. It is a series that if you have read all of Stephen King's other works, it really helps because it's like the Stephen King shared universe, essentially.
Yeah.
characters come in and out. So yeah, I was so looking forward to this. This film had been in development hell for just a very long time.
Yeah,
Ron
who had
Howard
it
was
first?
attached.
Yeah, Ron Howard was attached. Also,
Javier Bardem was going to play Roland. I think J.J. Abrams was involved at some time. It was going to be like a movie, a TV show, TV show, kind of following the structure of the books. And then finally, I'm like, Idris Elba as Roland Deschain, like, fuck yeah. Sign me up for this. This is great. Matthew McConaughey as a Man in Black, like that. Like the casting was great. It had me excited, and then the movie came out, and well, that's why we're here, I suppose.
well, look, okay, so the trailer for the movie came out before, obviously, the movie did, and it's one of those trailers that I know, Shahir, you just watched it for the first time right before we did this. But it's one of those trailers that I feel like I need to get to a point now where it's a fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me sort of scenario. Like, it has all the telltale signs of the quality and the sort of the ilk that the film is going to be. But I was so psyched that, like, for the actors involved, and I was psyched for the world to be displayed. Now, I haven't read the books, but I have read the Marvel graphic novels that are like the prequels to the books that Stephen King helped write. And so it's all about young Roland and sort of like before the fall of the gunslingers, like when there were still gunslingers.
The Battle of Jericho Hill.
And like you meet the Crimson King, and you find out all the history with the Man in Black, and it's all very. It's really cool stuff, and I really loved it. If you haven't read them or seen them, check it out. The artwork in it is nuts, and I'm so sad they just decided to stop doing it. Like, it wasn't finished. So that's my history with this, but I have been meaning, it's on my long list of media debt to read the Dark Tower novels.
There's a long list.
I know.
It's a long commitment. It's 7 books, and it's you can basically chart Stephen King's career, his success. The first book is like pretty tight, and then it just keeps going to the point where you're like, dude, you really need an editor. Like, just stop it.
That's funny.
Just stop it.
But so I came into this thing and I was just like, man, I just want. I think I watched the trailer and I was like, I didn't think in my head that looks good. I thought I want that to be good. And I mean, if you haven't gotten it from our tone, dear listeners, I don't think any of us particularly enjoyed it all that much. Look, so let me do this. Let me read the good old fashioned IMDb movie description of this film. All right, here we go.
Okay.
The last gunslinger, Roland Deschain, has been locked in an eternal battle with Walter O'Dim, also known as the Man in Black, determined to prevent him from toppling the Dark Tower, which holds the universe together. With the fate of the worlds at stake, good and evil will collide in the ultimate battle as only Roland can defend the tower from the Man in Black. Yeah.
Boo.
Okay. Before you boo.
Sorry.
That's not the movie I watched.
Nope.
No.
The movie I watched.
That's not the movie.
Should be cut together like they recut the trailer for Shining to make it into a romantic comedy, because it was literally little kid has night terrors, but then he gets magically transitioned into the world of Roland Deschain, and it's this little kid's story who, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, doesn't show up and isn't a huge character until book 7.
No, he's in book 1.
He's a version of him is in book 1. However, he is one of. Then he is kind of just a plot device, but it's this great. He has these great moments with Roland, but the books are about the gunslinger.
Yeah.
And why the fuck shouldn't they be? Because it's about a dude who's really good at shooting guns, who's basically Clint Eastwood. Of course you want to make of course you want to make a movie about that, but no. Of course no. Like, we're going to make some YA bullshit and so we don't even meet the said gunslinger until about 30 minutes into the movie, at which point we're like, what the fuck is happening here?
On another wonderful movie podcast that I must have listened to in off of Keystone Earth, because we are the only Keystone Earth podcast about movies. The Black Men Can't Jump in Hollywood podcast, they made the very apt observation that obviously that Roland, not the main character, little kid's the main character, and that is the dumbest bullshit move they could have you have Idris fucking Elba. Why is he not in nearly every scene?
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about the dynamics of it. I'll briefly fill you in on my history with this book, with this property, with this franchise, with Stephen King. Big Stephen King fan from way back in the day. Used to read a lot of Stephen King books when I was a little kid. I think my favorite might be a lesser, and not even a great Stephen King book, but a book that I just like had conjured images in my head, and that was the book The Dark Half. I actually read Gunslinger, the first book, about 2 years ago when I found a copy on the sidewalk in New York City. It must have fallen off the set or something while they were filming this, because it was like just this old copy of the Gunslinger.
Oh, Shahir, there were no copies of the books on set for this movie.
Yeah, you're probably right there.
But sir, I think that is Ka right there.
Yeah, it's Ka. Yeah, we've got a nice little quartet going here. But I found I was just walking past, and it was like one of these books I'm going to read all of these books at some point in my life. I'd missed out on Harry Potter. I haven't read Lord of the Rings, but I know Stephen King, so I'm going to dive into these. And I was walking down the street, and lo and behold, a copy of The Gunslinger was on the side of the road, and I was like, you know what? My time has come. I shall collect this and follow it down the rabbit hole.
Yes.
I have to say, book one is a real struggle. It's a difficult book to really figure out where you are and orientate yourself in this world is really challenging. Like I said, I've read a fair amount of Stephen King books, and I found this to be one of the most difficult Stephen King books I've ever read. And I've heard. I think the book was revised in 2003 to change it a little bit to fit more into the world that he'd created around.
That's nice.
Around the remaining 7 books. But I read the version I read was the original copy, which is kind of like a fever dream of Stephen King's. Which
he was doing a lot of coke.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, The Gunslinger was written before he became famous as well. So it was
because wasn't it originally like in a magazine? It was like a short story.
It was
series?
A collection of short stories, and it's very loosely tied together. I will say there is an enigmatic quality to this idea of a man walking in the desert, and in the distance there is another man in black, whom he is on a quest to kill. Just that idea alone, there's something quite viscerally powerful about it. None of that is in this movie. I just want to stress that up front. This movie, to me, feels much akin to 2 things. One, it feels like the Fantastic Four.
Interesting.
Which to me felt like a film that was abandoned halfway.
I will say I agree, but if this film was abandoned halfway, they did a better job at piecing it together than Fantastic Four.
This is a better film than the Fantastic Mr.
Mr. Four.
The Fantastic Mr. Four. This is a better film than
Les Anderson.
Here we go again. But it is a film that feels that it was stitched together at some point. And I think the problem with this film is it seems like no one figured out why they should do this film. Now, The Dark Tower as a series and the Gunslinger series, as far as I can tell, and I'm reading some reviews of it and reading some synopses, is a pretty freewheeling idea. It's not as cohesive as something like the Harry Potter series. It's not as cohesive as Lord of the Rings. It's much more. No. It's much more akin to a fever dream.
The graphic novels were the same way.
Yeah, and so. And I think that is interesting, and it obviously has a major following. So I think obviously the attraction to do this series, because it has such a big following, because there's 7 books, because it's Stephen King, a well-established name, is very evident. But nobody read these books and figured out the why these books. Why are these books so popular with their readers? Why are these books so enigmatic? And none of that is in this film.
No.
What we got in this film was instead an attempt to make a young adult version of The Dark Tower and to try and market it to a popcorn crowd. And unfortunately, it fails on almost every level to do even that.
Because who they're marketing it to is not young adult. who they're marketing it to is us, is people our age, like adults or like 30-somethings. Because all the advertisements, there's no real, other than the trailer, like that has to show the kid because he's the fucking main character. None of the TV spots, none of any of the posters or any of that shit have the kid. You see a badass looking Idris Elba and a fucking evil looking Matthew McConaughey, and they put it up there like it's a fucking dark grudge match.
To be fair, you have to put those two on the screen because what are you going to do?
I understand, but this is what I'm saying. I'm not saying they should do that. What I'm saying is the movie they made and the movie they advertised are two different movies, and that's going to fuck you no matter what. Even if it was great, it's still which this was not. It will fuck you at the box office. This movie at this point, I think, only made 21 million out of its 60 something back. Who knows if it will. But my thing is, they took one of the most complex and sort of beloved sci-fi kind of horror-ish narratives and created this paint by numbers PG-13 sci-fi, and I mean SYFY movie of the week sort of thing. And it's the classic, and this is kind of why I wanted to do this one even after we saw it, after I knew kind of what it was, after early reviews came in. It's a classic case of putting IP first. This is a paint by numbers, just like, oh, well, it checks all these boxes. It's got a following. Stephen King did it. It's yep, check, and go. And it's like, it's literally like the Instagramming of film. Right. It's nuts.
Right. It's a remix of all sorts of things we've seen before. I actually kind of look at it as sort of a bad version of Masters of the Universe.
I was going to say exactly the same thing.
Which is a movie I enjoy. It's dumb. But it's like it got a lot of fun. But it has sci-fi, fantasy, swordplay,
heart and cohesion.
It's got heart and cohesion. Exactly. This one just doesn't have any of that, really, despite all the talk of like, well, I shoot with my heart and whatever the fuck. It should be such a done deal because the series itself is basically a remix. It's like Stephen King watched the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly and was like, I'm gonna write a Western that's fucking weird and crazy with sci-fi elements, and that's great. And you don't even have to introduce all of the crazy stuff from the last couple of books, because the first book, while it's a little hard to get into because it literally just drops you in media and res. It's a very simple story. There are basically like 3 characters.
Yeah.
You can have a budget of $20 million, shoot out in the desert. It looks gorgeous. And make all your money back. But hang on. I gotta disagree with you. I think the reason this movie fails is because they had that approach, which is that they thought that, well, if we just shoot the scenes that are in that movie. The problem with this book and this series is that it is incredibly difficult to distill into why this is important. Like Harry Potter is about a young child growing up in the world of magic. So we understand that. Lord of the Rings is about the quest to remove this ring. The Dark Tower is metaphysical. It's meta in a way that most people don't expect. It has so wonderfully meta.
Like, as you said, it's the multiverse of Stephen King's universe, and it's all connected together. The Dark Tower is one of the most obvious metaphors in Stephen King's work. It's basically his creative impulse is the Dark Tower. But nobody has figured. You watch this film and you don't. What nobody has taken the time to do, and I'm not saying that I know this because I found the first book difficult to do, is to figure out why should I do this film? Like, what is it that I can contribute?
I told you why.
No. You're saying why they did this film financially. I'm saying
that's the only reason.
No, but the reason this film fails is because no one actually figured out the why to do. Even a film.
We're saying the same thing.
No. But here's the thing. Even a film like Ghostbusters, which I think is a film that kind of ostensibly fails, the remake of Ghostbusters.
Okay.
There's an understanding of why they wanted to do that film. There's a clear understanding of what they wanted to set out to achieve with that film. It's not a very good film.
It's also kind of the same reason as the Dark Tower. It's a familiar IP that they know they can bank on, so they don't take the time to actually figure out what made the IP special in the first place.
But they had an idea, which was that they wanted to reconfigure what we understood about Ghostbusters. I don't think there's a clear idea of why we should do the Dark Tower in this film. There's no. This is.
We are saying the same thing.
It is entirely incoherent here, and the creative failure is the inability to try and wrap your head. Now, I think it's a difficult task. I think it's a very, very difficult task to figure out why to do the Dark Tower. I read the first book and I was like, I don't know why you would want to make this film.
Well, I'm not too familiar with director Nikolaj Arcel.
Yeah. Famous for A Royal Affair, and he also managed to configure The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo as a series, which I think is what landed him this gig.
Probably. He's obviously not the man for the job, or he's a figurehead, and the studio that feels like this is a studio. This movie was made and died in the edit room with notes and bullshit. Like that's what this feels like to me.
I think it died. Died on the at the laptop. I think it died. Yeah. I don't think there was a coherent idea on paper.
It died because of two mans, not men. It died because of Tom Rothman, head of Sony,
right,
and screenwriter Akiva Goldsmith, who has written such wonderful gems as Batman and Robin, Lost in Space,
Winter's Tale,
Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, The Fifth Wave, Transformers: The Last Night, and I believe one of the worst reviewed films of the year's, Rings.
Yep. Oh, by the way, well, he was like one of 12 on Transformers: The Last Night.
Oh, yes. But he is, to me, the physical embodiment of screenwriting 101. Like, okay, he has Final Draft and he understands the bare basics. Somehow the dude won an Oscar.
Beautiful Mind.
But I think that's because Ron Howard is an actual director who can elevate material. But man, this was dead the moment Akiva Goldsman was announced as being a writer on this movie. And like maybe it wasn't him, but just like he's been involved with so much crap over the years that you just got to be like, no, like, you know, at one point it is not everyone else, it is actually you who are the asshole, who's the jerk in the relationship, and you have to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and what really sucks is you can see Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey like try. Like they are trying. I think that their performances are fine, but they're given nothing to do.
I think this is the odd. Maybe this is the turning point. Maybe it's happened before this, but I think the McConaissance is well and truly over.
McConaissance,
and I think I was like, wow, this movie managed to make a guy like Matthew McConaughey who can make reading the phone book sound good. This movie managed to make him sound like Deadwood.
But that's the script. I honestly feel like that's the script. I didn't think his performance was terrible. It was literally just garbage to do. I'm not saying it was great, but it was not the problem. It is not the symptom of which we will find where the disease came from. I think Steve kind of hit that nail on.
Right. Of the many things that this bothers me is that we'll probably never see Matthew McConaughey as Randall Flagg in any remake of The Stand. Because it's
Randall Flagg is the same character, right?
Yeah. It's the same character. And like that would just be great. But McConaughey, like you announce it, you go like, yes, he is clearly some like trickster magician guy who is this mysterious character that Roland is pursuing. And they just remove all of that shit for some crappy psychic kid
for a joke about not having chicken on their world, but yet he's in a kitchen knowing exactly how to cook chicken.
He also comes from a world with goats and birds, so I'm just like, you know what? I'm pretty sure you've got chickens if you look hard enough.
That was definitely a second unit and script snafu. They didn't quite connect together. Did you shoot those chickens? I don't remember. Oh, just do this line. Great.
Hey, there we go.
I guess the interesting thing is that the fundamental, to me, again, that fundamental why is missing, but the fundamental, like not nailing the fundamental why also leads to all sorts of strange problems with this film that are just I think like to get to that point, like a favoring of IP over actual ideas, and the fundamentally I'm reminded of a scene in The Omen. Do you remember the film The Omen about Damien the child?
Yeah.
And there's a scene with the babysitter at the top of the house. Gregory Peck is they're having a dinner party or something, or birthday's kid party, and the babysitter comes out of the window. She's standing at the top of the house, and she looks over to Damien, and she says, "Damien, look, I did it. I'm doing it all for you. I love you, Damien." And she jumps off the building to her death. And it is that scene. The Omen is a pretty good film. It might not hold up as well in my memory, but that scene and the idea of this woman being so possessed by the devil is so terrifying, and it's so haunting, and it really gets under my skin in a way that I can't quite explain. Matthew McConaughey's character in this film pulls that kind of trick several times over, and it has no sense of dread. It has no sense of terror. There is no sense of who cares what the implication of this is. He turns to people and say, "Now kill each other," and walks away, and we don't care. He turns to a little girl and says, "Hate," and we see her eyes darken over, but we see no consequence of that, and we don't see the malevolence at which this character plays, which is what you need in order for this to even function at the most basic level. In order to be on side with the gunslinger, you need to know how evil Matthew McConaughey is. Even though he says these things, it carries no weight. It has no dread. There's a plot in this film to destroy a tower with the psychic brain power of children that involves a visual scene where lasers are shot into the sky and hit a tower which crumbles. Who gives a shit in this movie? Like, who cares what any of that is doing?
Well, that's fair. The thing about again, I don't blame McConaughey for that really at all. That is honestly, there's no weight to that because the movie doesn't give time to give weight to it. There is what they were going for, and it fails, is the audience to when he goes, "Stop breathing," and someone just goes and fucking dies or whatever. That's supposed to be shocking because of how easily the man in black can just kill or do whatever he wants. And McConaughey I guarantee he was told you, like, act like this is nothing, like this is a wave of your hand and it doesn't even fucking matter. The problem with that is that direction gives it no weight. Where the director or even the scriptwriter thought, like, oh man, it's gonna be so badass because he's so powerful, like that'll kind of explain it. It doesn't, and it is lost.
And I think
What you got, Steve?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't give him any weight, and also it makes Roland, you just happen to be immune to my charms, even more bullshit.
He seems to resist my magics.
Like
with
everybody, everybody is special because they have some like fancy psychic power to them. Like, oh, who gives a shit about this?
The Shining
also,
is more interesting in terms of, when it's talking about The Shining.
Yeah, when it's
The Shine.
like, oh, yeah. And of course you're like, oh, I know, I get that reference. Haha, thanks, movie. Great. Also, by the way, who designed the Dark Tower? I'm just like, if a kid can take it out, like, man, somebody fucked up.
Well, see, this is the point. This is the point. It's not the Dark Tower is not meant to be taken at a literal level in the book. It's meant to be, it's a metaphysical thing, and it's also a philosophical point. And the problem is this film mistakes action for philosophy. Like at the end of the Gunslinger, the penultimate scene in the Gunslinger involves the man in black and Roland.
Not the Men in Black. Two very different.
Will Smith turns up and they have a conversation. But the man in black and Roland have a conversation, an existentialist conversation about the nature of their battle. In this film, that happens with some gun fu.
Yeah,
and it's like it's a complete misrepresentation.
Maybe it's more gun kata.
Yeah, it's more gun kata. And that conversation, while brilliant, I thought was made better with the fan fiction of Men in Black when he's just saying, "Just bounce with me, just bounce with me. Now make your neck work."
Yeah.
So that I mean, it's very deep.
But you know what I mean? That's now I actually don't even think you should. I agree with in a way when Akiva Goldsmith, Ron Howard, J.J. Abrams. Lucasfilms all approached this material, they were like, we have to reconfigure this some way because it doesn't really fit into the mold of what we understand as television today. I do think, the director I would have loved to have tackled this particular book would be Alejandro Jodorowsky. And if you've watched The Holy Mountain, I think The Holy Mountain is a better example of what The Dark Tower should be as a film.
Maybe that's where The Dark Tower sits.
At the Holy Mountain. At the tip of the base. If you zoom back camera, you'll see that the Holy Mountain is.
Did you just say camera? You just said it literally like 30 Rock.
Have you seen The Holy Mountain?
No.
That's the last line of The Holy Mountain.
Is it really?
Which is the director standing saying, "Now zoom back camera."
Oh, all right, nice.
Really?
Yeah,
that's funny.
That would be. Shahir, have you read about any of the future installments of The Dark Tower?
I know about the meta qualities of The Dark Tower and the fact that Stephen King himself appears in The Dark Tower. And again, I think my understanding is the metaphor of The Dark Tower itself becomes much more existential and metaphysical. It's not literally a tower that needs to be like hit with a laser beam or anything like that.
No.
It is a metaphysical idea. It's a representation of King's creativity.
It's a metaphysical representation and idea that needs to be hit with a laser.
That's my point.
By psychic kids.
Yeah, and that's
with the shine.
And again, I fundamentally when I read The Dark Tower, whenever I read anything, I think about how I would adapt it. And when I read The Dark Tower, I was like, I would need to reconfigure this whole thing from the ground up. So I completely sympathize. I know that there's a representational issue that makes putting Jake Chambers at the center of this film over Idris Elba's The Gunslinger problematic, but I sympathize with the rationale to do so. I even understand it because they want to find a character who's a gateway into this world. I don't agree with it. I'm just saying I sympathize and I can understand how that would have happened.
But there's a million ways they could have done it correctly.
Of course.
It feels that feels like just like a cop out. Like you can tell if you have a strong enough script and a good enough director and great actors, you can make anything accessible. And I think there is an accessible version of this. I think the book itself is like, it's not the most accessible, but you can pick up lots of little things if it's given the time to breathe and to grow and to show you these little bits, the little flashbacks that Roland has in his life.
Here's the deal.
They don't do that.
Yeah, here's the deal. In this world where everyone wants their own goddamn cinematic universe, especially Sony, holy shit, they want one so bad. This could have been it, but not starting like this. A good reworking of the narrative, Shahir, and actually I should probably let you borrow them. Although I'm going to read them again. The graphic novels take the beginning of Roland's life.
Yeah,
and these were all, I guess, apparently like sort of short stories before or anything like that. It reshuffles the deck a little bit, and it makes them a little bit more of a traditional narrative to understand. Right. There's still a metaphysical sort of weirdness to it, but you can follow, and it's a reshuffle. It's done the exact thing it feels like you're doing. If they want this pie in the sky cinematic universe of their own, they could have started there and had like 12 movies.
Yeah.
But they didn't. Yeah. They rush. They do what they always fucking do and just go after the wrong shit for the wrong reasons. And then I kind of agree with you. Someone gave up somewhere. I think they gave up in the editing room. You think they gave up a little earlier. Yeah. But someone realized it was a stinker, didn't want to tell anybody really, and then it just had to plow through because we already got contracts.
Hey, and it did make money, and
not enough.
It's making money, and like by the time it goes overseas, it probably make money. I think they even.
You know what else makes money? The drug trade. It's not all good if you're making money.
But this is legal. Maybe it shouldn't be, but it is.
$5 water here. $5 water.
They've also, I think they've already announced a showrunner for the TV show version of The Dark Tower.
Oh, please let it be the guy who runs Iron Fist. Please, just let's go full circle.
No.
But I'm sort of curious as to like why they believe there's a demand for it based off of the back of this particular film.
I hope this movie
it's just because, as you say, it's the IP.
Yeah, I hope this movie proved that this shouldn't be a movie. This should be if they're going to make it into a different form, a different medium that's not a novel, it should be a television show, and they should do a slow burn, and they should do it smart.
It could be Preacher.
Yeah. And I know Preacher gets a lot of shit. Shahir, have you seen Preacher?
I have not seen. I've read a couple of the comic books, but not.
Preacher kind of does something interesting too. Preacher sort of reshuffles the weird deck a little bit of the comic, and it does it in a way that I find very enjoyable. It keeps the crazy, but it does the crazy through its storytelling, not the actual story. And I like that a lot. That's one way you can sort of get this this effect, and you can only do that in a series. You can't do that in a movie because it's just there's no time. And just the fucking balls that they must have had to take this 8-novel just opus and put it into an hour and a half film starring a little kid. Like, wow. They just must think that they can do no wrong.
Well, I'm not. Again, I'm never sure who the they is in your thing, because I think it's a
The committee.
The committee.
I think the people who genuinely, even Akiva Goldsmith, who's been people have been working on this for a very long time. I think there's a desire to want to make a good movie. I just don't think that the thought process that was required in order to try and attempt to configure this as a movie was done.
It's a lack of skill met with a lack of insight, or I should say, the lack of proper insight that is needed to take something like this and not just make it a cash grab IP bullshit move.
Not only the lack of insight, but also the lack of authorial control. Like to say, no, this is the film is this version. This movie is so it's so
all over the place,
but it's also so glaringly inconsequential. Like nothing
matters.
Nothing matters in this movie. Things happen in front of you, but nothing is of consequence. Nothing matters. Nothing. I can't remember. That's the wrong phrase already. I can't recall a film that left my brain so quickly as I walked out of the theater as this one. If we didn't have to talk about this on the podcast, I swear to God, I would forget every single moment in this movie.
That's fair.
I liked the way he loaded the gun.
I just felt rage as soon as I left. I was like, I don't remember any of this, but it's just this feeling of anger and just hatred towards this film. And as to the I was thinking about, like, why does the movie need to be made? And it certainly doesn't need to be made like this. And I keep coming back to this, like, but the thing about it is that it's a movie. It's a series about obsession. And when you refigure the plot the way it is, the way they have done, especially with the Jake character, it loses all of its dramatic heft because, spoiler alert for the book, at one point, Roland is forced to choose between pursuing the Man in Black and saving Jake, and he chooses to pursue the Man in Black.
To Jake's detriment.
Yeah, and there's this great line. It's actually the teaser line on the poster. It says, there are other worlds than this, which is just this great thing, and it has no consequence here. But that is what I think that's the essence of the Gunslinger, and that really what the Tower is inconsequential to. It's literally a movie about the journey towards something.
Yeah.
What the end result is doesn't matter, and in fact it sort of folds back in on itself over and over and over again in a brilliant twist.
Yeah,
that
I know what the twist is. Yeah,
don't say it. I want to read
okay,
them.
Okay, I won't. It's an incredible twist. It's one of my favorite endings to any book series.
That's great
in history. But it and they just missed that completely by just refiguring the character for like standard revenge.
Yeah, they reconfigure Stanley Kubrick wrote a thing which was that if it can be written, it can be filmed, and what I think is interesting here is that they have taken a complex meta narrative, multi-universe idea.
Maltese Falcon.
They've taken a complex Maltese Falcon.
Yep.
They've taken a MacGuffin, which is what it is.
Yep. Thrown it in with some Maltesers and made a milkshake. But they've
Les Anderson.
They forgot. they've
Have they forgotten the face of their father?
No, yes, certainly.
But no, okay, sorry, I'm interrupting.
No, the thing is that this isn't just a bad way to adapt this with this film, which I could forgive. I think it's a very complex, difficult novel, and I think only like a madman like Alejandro Jodorowsky could do it justice.
Give it to George Miller.
Or George Miller, or like some kind of, for sake of a bit of word, visionary filmmaker who only makes films that they could make, could potentially change this into something interesting. But this is not just a bad adaptation. It is the worst possible kind of adaptation of this, which is that it seems to think, and what it is that is frustrating about it is it doesn't take its audience very seriously. It doesn't take the audience of the book very seriously. It doesn't take the audience of a general movie going public very seriously. It seems to think that if we just shoot things and we have the gunslinger in a cool jacket and Matthew McConaughey draws some lines every now and again, we'll be okay. And, John Ford said something along the lines of every movie needs to have at least 3 good scenes. I think this movie fails at that fundamental level. And it's really unfortunate because I don't think anyone goes out to make a bad movie, but I think fundamentally this is a cynical exercise that doesn't treat its audience or its material or the people who have invested their time to work on it with any respect.
Yeah.
When the Lord of the Rings came out, people were saying it might not be like a direct adaptation, but it's capturing the essence of the books, which you're rereading the books. You're like, okay, I can see that. There is no essence of the Dark Tower in this movie. So it crumbles. It crumbles like the stupid tower getting hit by the stupid kid energy.
It's literally, it's the cinematic equivalent. I'm going to do it one better than Instagram. It's the cinematic equivalent of the video on the internet of Jurassic Park right before they see the dinosaurs. You're supposed to hear the beautiful swelling or the orchestra, and it's just the fucking shitty harmonica playing. That's literally the adaptation of the Dark Tower you get. And it's so interesting to me, and I just kind of had this, I'm sure every fucking reviewer has said this, but like for a film whose catchphrase is when you've lost your way, you've forgotten the face of your father. What the it's so on the nose of its own shortcomings. It's ridiculous. This is nothing like what Stephen King intended or ever wanted to make. And it's forgotten its way so hard in the blind just fucking fever to go for money milked from an IP that the creators of this swill don't understand. And that's a ballsy statement for me to say. I haven't read the books and I still know they don't understand it. Like, I could look at this even without anyone else's opinion and know if they're like, oh, this was based on something, and I'd be like, yeah, they probably didn't read the original thing. Like, it just feels, because it's so cookie cutter. It's a coloring book. And it's a coloring book that if you ever drew out of the lines, it would slap you on the wrist and make you like redo it and make it all fucking homogenized. Like, it's just so blah.
Oh man, I want you to read the books.
I will. It'll take me catch up with me in 2020.
Yeah, at the very least, the first book, and go, what? The hell? Like none of this tracks.
None of this tracks. None of this. Like I said, that first book is difficult, but none of the ethereal qualities of that book are on the screen at all, even in its most distilled version. I would love to do a little thought exercise.
Yeah. Okay.
I know we've basically spent the whole time shitting on this movie.
Sure.
Rightfully so. This is not a movie that deserves your money. It is not a movie that deserves your time. It is a waste of effort and talent on all levels. It is not seemingly. But here's one thing. It's not quite as bad as the Fantastic Four. So I'm curious.
I know. Isn't that weird?
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
I'm curious. What did people like in this movie?
Steve?
Okay, honestly, as much as I wanted the Dark Tower adaptation to be basically a 2.5-hour Western directed by the guy who made The Proposition, I think that would have been fucking
John
amazing.
Hillcoat? Was it John Hillcoat?
John Hillcoat. the film moves along at a good pace. It doesn't explain anything, but it's never entirely boring. It's just infuriating to me as a reader. So the 95-minute runtime, and I can't believe there's a film that runs 95 minutes. It that kind of works, and
You're
also
literally saying that the best thing about it is that it ends quickly.
is that it ends quickly, and the casting of Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey I think is top notch, because Idris Elba, he needs something. He needs some goddamn movie.
Give him
he needs to
Bond.
pick better projects. He needs to be Bond. He needs to just
whatever.
whatever.
He needs to not do a franchise. He needs to do
He
something.
needs to not do. Yeah, he needs.
a film
he
that's coming
he needs
out-
to go back to Luther or something.
What's
like
the
that.
What's the film
or-
coming out? The one with the plane crash? It looks good.
with Kate Winslet
Yeah.
and
Based on a true story in the 70s.
I recall the.
I don't.
But you know, the first thing that like my wife said, or anyone who watches that show was like, "Ooh, trapped on a mountain with Idris Elba." Hello.
Are they remaking Alive or something? What?
No, it's not Alive. It's based on a much smaller plane and less soccer playing,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank God, because soccer
and probably less cannibalism as well.
The Mountain Between Us.
curses. All right.
That's what it
All right,
is.
so
Literally
yeah,
the
that's,
title and the location of the film.
Yeah. And that's where the Dark Tower is.
It is. It's the center
I
of
mean,
all things.
yeah. I mean, you know, the tragedy of this is that Idris Elba is not a movie star in the same way that Matthew McConaughey is at this point in his career, but he damn well should be. And unfortunately, this is not and you know, with a franchise potential as big as this set of novels, you would have hoped that this would be the thing, but unfortunately, it is not.
So what did you like about it?
Myself, I liked his jacket. It's pretty cool.
Cool. Cool.
It's a cool jacket.
What did I like about it? Let me think about this for a second. Take
Take your time.
I didn't look.
Nope, that didn't sound like a positive.
Here's
We're
the,
supposed to be positive right
supposed
now.
to be positive. It's that weird thing when like the gun fu is cool, but
In a Resident Evil sort of way.
no, but it's like my level of interest in it is non-existent because the film is bad. But the gun fu is arguably cool if you just watch it on a
Gun kata.
whatever it is. If you just watch it on a sort of like, I am just watching stuff, choreography in front of me, and that's all I'm watching. I'm not watching character. I'm not watching story. I'm not watching a coherent piece that fits within to the film I'm watching. I'm just watching choreography. You could argue it has very good choreography. But
You could argue that.
you could argue that. But again, that
You want to die on that mountain?
the choreography is it is fundamentally tied to, it doesn't mean anything in the film, and if it doesn't, then you can have the most beautiful, you could have Gene Kelly tap dancing away in this movie and it wouldn't matter because he's not connected to this movie, so therefore his dancing is not good.
Well, isn't he though?
Yeah. Yeah, everything's
I mean,
connected.
We're all connected to this movie.
I think
Sort of.
I agree with everything that you've said. Those things are all nice.
I don't think I said anything nice at this point.
Well, you tried. You did the best. You spoke nice like
described
Shahir speaks
facts.
nice.
Yeah.
I think if I had to pick a thing I liked, it would be. I mean, this is literally a backhanded compliment, but whenever it almost got into like a side bit of the story, for instance, all the orbs, when McConaughey, the Man in Black, opens up the cabinet and he takes one of the orbs and he's using an orb, all those orbs have stories. And like also the what's it called, the demons or whatever that like
The
wear
face.
the skin. I think that was cool. I even liked the little bit of like what I was questioning was like, okay, Man in Black, like the guy's like, go put your face on, don't let me see you like this again, because he wants them all to look human. And I was curious as to like, ooh, why? Like I know it's a throwaway line, but little things like that got me. And to be honest, look, I'm a sucker for a fish out of water, and there were like one or two moments in this, like when he discovers what a hot dog is,
Yeah.
or like whatever, and like those are cool.
That reminded me of Masters of the Universe when they ate chicken wings for the first
Right.
Yeah,
chicken for the
yeah,
first
and they
time.
did it better. I wonder why they put the food on these little white sticks.
Yeah.
Those are rib bones.
Yeah, oh, what a barbaric world. I could quote that whole movie. But that's neither here nor there. I just think there's very little to praise because
I'm just thinking what if they were like, okay, we need to pull some quotes here for the movie poster. We've got Stephen Buja from Oscar Movie Watch saying basically
that was close.
Oscar Watch
There you
podcast saying, well, it was 94 minutes. You
Yep.
got Shahir saying you could argue that the gun fu was cool, and you got Matt saying the orbs looked cool.
No, I'd rather fish out of water's neat.
Right.
But not this fish out of water, just fish out of water in general.
The hot dog joke was neat.
That would be
I
our
like
pull
the-
quotes.
Yeah, the fish out of water in Wonder Woman was handled much better.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. That's because there's someone who can direct. Okay. Well, I mean, that's all kind of our final thoughts, I guess. This is a weird sort of episode.
It's a short one.
I
but
just wish, guys, that the studios would just learn lessons, but they don't. And I hope, not because I want anyone to like actually work and sweat it into this movie to go hungry or anything like that, but I hope that they look at the returns of this movie and just try to for once just be like, why didn't this work? And maybe they'll stumble accidentally into figuring out that just not giving a fuck is probably the start. Like this is directly to you, Sony, whoever you are, Mr. Sony. I love your PlayStations. I really do. There's aspects of your company I really enjoy. Thank you for lending Spider-Man back to Marvel. I really appreciate it. With that having been said, this is a bit of an intervention, I feel. And I'm saying this because I do love a lot about you. You, dear friend Sony, have forgotten the face of your father. You have forgotten why you exist. And there's no clearer current example of that than the Dark Tower film adaptation that I watched. Please look at it and learn from it and come back stronger and more self-aware and realize that you can have your cake of making a ton of money and eat it too by making something quality that people want to ingest.
Hey, they made Life.
But
That was
Sony,
pretty good.
but Sony, guess what? Because of the nature of the series, you have essentially infinite reboots on this. Just get
That is true.
keep Idris Elba, keep Matthew McConaughey, and you can just go another turn of the wheel over and over and over until, like Roland, you actually get it right. So like,
Do you think that's-
it's not over. It's not. You just be like, you know what, that one that was just like one of those shitty. That was a shitty turn of the wheel. We're just gonna like, here's the real story. I'm just saying, like, there are options you have.
And just
yourself.
remember they did that with Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man. So I'm just
How'd that wheel turn?
That wasn't a great turn of the wheel, but it's nice to know it's sort of like the reboot button is built into this.
Yeah.
By its very nature.
is this
yes, it is.
wheel-
Yes, it is.
Is this wheel the wheel of fish? No one gets that reference?
No.
Wow.
Oh, red snapper.
Thank you,
Very
Steve.
tasty.
Thank you, Steve. Oh, I miss you, buddy.
I think my point here is that it pains me. It's never fun to rip apart a movie. It's never fun to just sit here for an hour and shit on a movie. But unfortunately, some movies just need. Well, some
have that
movies,
face.
Yeah,
Just
some
like,
movies
just
just
wanna punch you.
are punchable faces, and this is one of those punchable faces. It's unfortunate because they have some very attractive faces in it. Here's looking at you, Matthew McConaughey.
Idris Elba, baby. If I had to pick,
Yeah, but Matthew McConaughey is like
you're not
raw dog
no one's
sexy.
losing. You're not
No one's
losing.
losing.
in that
No,
one.
no one's losing in this battle. In the Matthew McConaughey Idris Elba sandwich that we're making here. But so it pains me to have to like I don't like these episodes. I don't like episodes where we just sit here and talk about how bad this thing is, because I feel like there is a love of craft and people want to make good movies.
I know we say that all the time. It's just I think there's teachable moments. I think that's what we're doing.
I don't know if we've told. I'm not sure if we've learned anything.
No, I'm saying we are
Don't
the teachers.
hire
We don't
Cubicle
need to learn. We've given a lot of ways this could have worked.
I guess
Now-
maybe
now-
that's the fundamental thing. I don't know how the Dark Tower on film works. It's definitely not this way, though.
We've given a lot of great sort of ideas on how to make it less bad. Obviously, we haven't found the pure wonderment and thing that would make it all come together as a cohesive whole because it's so complex. But there's very standard baseline shit that this movie forgot to do that we've all said. So look, and again, it's a teachable moment. I hope someone's listening that can learn.
Perhaps you would like to, if you have a teachable moment for us, you could write us in at onlymoviepodcast at gmail.com or hit us up on Twitter at onlymoviepod to teach us how you think The Dark Tower could have been better, how it could have adapted. If you are a fan of the books or the graphic novels, please write us in and tell us fundamentally what this got wrong about those things. And if it, maybe those things, again, I've only read one of the books, you've read the graphic novels. Stephen, you've read most of the material.
I've read, except the graphic novels, yeah.
So together, we form the Voltron of knowledge of this IP.
But maybe we don't even know. Maybe someone else really knows and understands what this is. And again, I think the Holy Mountain is a good example of what this could be, but maybe there are other examples. Please write us in and let us know.
This has been the only podcast about the Dark Tower. Stephen Buja, buddy, pal, friend of mine. When you're not, helping make the cinematic space a better place on your podcast, where can folks find you? Or actually on there too.
Yeah, well, we like to think we review movies that are much better than this, though we have had some stinkers here over on Oscar Watch. You can find us on iTunes and SoundCloud, Google Play, Oscar Watch, all one word. We review all the Best Picture winners, Best Foreign Language winners, and Best Animated Film winners from the 89 years of Academy history. We have a blast. Our good buddy Matt Marchetti is my co-host.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should come check it out.
What's your favorite movie that you've reviewed?
Favorite movie I've reviewed?
The Dark Tower.
Yeah. Lawrence of Arabia is fantastic. Honestly, but I think one of the ones that hits me the most, and Shahir, I know you're kind of cool on this. The Lives of Others, I still contend is just a fantastic
it's a perfect movie. I have a hot
great.
take on that movie though, but it is ostensibly a perfect movie.
I should have sounded the hot take alarm. Shahir's got a hot take. Wow, that was a baby air horn.
One of my favorites.
That was like a cat, like a kitten going meow 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 meow.
I've got a hot cat take on this movie when I throw cats at you.
What about you, Shahir? When you're not hating that you're hating something, where can folks find you?
You can find me at shahirdaud.com. That's SHAHIRDAUD.com. Robot music video is coming out September 15th, directed by myself, not featuring. It is for the artist Nigel Stanford and some very cool looking KUKA robots. Stephen, you were an extra on Cymatics.
I was. Well, I loved that whole experience. That was good times.
Well, yeah, because you.
And by the way, sir, the that Pyramids video.
Oh yeah,
it's top notch. I love that.
Oh,
and it's a great song too.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm going to say this humbly, and I'm only saying this because it's been a long time coming, but I'm hoping we will blow your freaking minds with on September 15th.
It's real good. If that doesn't blow up to epic proportions, then the internet is truly Bork. Like there's no question in my mind.
It could definitely happen.
When I'm not singing the praises of a music video you haven't seen yet, you can find me at Emperor MSK on Twitter. You can also find me at MatthewKroll, MatthewKroll.com for my life and works, and Skeletor, the number 4, PREZ, on Instagram. Also, I do want to kind of pitch a little thing that I was working on for MTV International that just came to the States. There's a show called Vidiots that I produced with a great team and of fantastic comedians. It's basically comedians in living rooms watching music videos. And if that sounds baseline to you, you're 100% wrong. I even thought it was going to be like, oh, I don't know. It's one of the funniest fucking shows I've ever worked on. And now you can see it in the United States after its world tour at 8:30s on MTV2. First show, I believe, to jump from international to US MTV wise. So I'm
a big fan of music videos. What's your favorite music video on that show that you did?
Oh God, holy Voodoo in My Blood by Massive Attack.
I love that video.
Yeah,
that's a good video.
Based on the film by Andrei Zulawski, Position. Beautiful music video, beautiful song.
So check that out. It's such a fun way to watch music videos, and it definitely makes it fresh. And everyone and their fucking mother tells me like, oh, MTV, why don't you play music videos anymore? They're doing it, and they're doing it in an interesting way. So please support that. Yeah. Guys, thank you so much, and ladies and everyone for listening. And we'll be back next week with, I don't even know what we're doing.
We haven't decided yet.
Listen, write us in. Maybe you can be the deciding vote. Don't forget the faces of your fathers. Or mothers, or parents. Appreciate your parents.
If you see a Men in Black, don't follow them.
Just nod your head and bounce with them. We'll see you next week.